I hope that the next person who calls you beautiful does so in a way that encompasses all of you. I hope when they call you beautiful, they mean your voice in the morning and the light in your eyes when you talk about what you're passionate about. I hope when they call you beautiful, they mean the way you forget your keys every day so you always say goodbye twice before you leave. I hope they mean the way you sleep and the way you cry and the way you take your coffee, because next time someone calls you beautiful, nothing about the way you exist should be disregarded. You are not beautiful in the way a single rose petal is. You are beautiful in the way a garden is. I don't think any artist knows they're creating a famous masterpiece when they create it. Some of them die believing that their life's work was worthless just for their piece to be hung on the walls of museums for years to come. My point is, I don't think you realize what a masterpiece you are. The world gives us inadequate assessments of the work of geniuses every day. So, if you're feeling overlooked and underappreciated, if you're feeling like this isn't the role you were assigned, it's probably because the way you're painted is a little ahead of their time. I refuse to abandon my darkness because it is the only part of me that greets me with no expectation. It rejects the perfectionist within me and reminds me that real humans have skin as thin as paper and hearts as fragile as dragonfly wings. It does not tell me to be grateful, but begs me to be real. It does not ask me to be silent, it asks me to tell you exactly how I feel. So I refuse to reject the part of me that is dark, because without it, you would not see my heart. You believe romanticizing life means constantly striving to create a life extraordinary enough to romanticize. But the truth is, it's not a matter of creating something extraordinary. It's a matter of realizing the beauty in the life you already have. When was the last time you appreciated the way gravity hugs you to the earth? When was the last time you heard the wind and called it music? When was the last time you studied the lines on a stranger's face and tried to read the map of their past? Tell me, how long has it been since you submerged your head in the sea? How long has it been since you befriended the trees? How long has it been since you laid in the field and listened to the humming of the bees? There is romance in morning walks. There is artistry in a sunset sky. There is magic in late night talks. There is an entire universe in a person's eyes. So, if you're looking for extraordinary, you don't have to try. You've just come in from a rainstorm. You can't expect to be immediately dry, warm, and comfortable, but you can do the little things. Take off the heavy clothing, turn on the coffee pot, wrap yourself in a blanket, one small thing at a time. Healing is a process. There is an undeniable emphasis that we all place on love. It is the only thing that is logically entirely unnecessary for life, yet we continue to seek it as if it is our last breath of oxygen before drowning. But why? This is the conclusion that I've come to. Humans are at their best when they are loved. It elicits a part of us that is selfless and confident. When we are loved well, we are ambitious and sure of ourselves. I've also found this. The same can result from a love that is attained internally. When you love who you are, you become your best. You become selfless and confident. You become ambitious and sure. This is not to say that love from others is unnecessary. Rather, it is to say that it is necessary to find vitality within yourself. You do not have to be isolated, but you must be sustained by your own breath first. You keep wondering why you feel so tired all the time, but you're not even resting when you rest. Your mind is still going a million miles an hour. Your worries are still running through your head. You're distracting yourself and calling it peace, but let me promise you, this is not peace. So do me a favor and close your eyes. And for a second, just let yourself be. There is nothing more important than being present right now. There is nothing more urgent than your breath. Inhale, then exhale, and feel the knot unravel from your chest. You are safe in this moment. You have done enough. You are worthy of feeling at peace. Let your shoulders drop, unclench your jaw, simply let yourself be.
Your fatal flaw is that you never let anyone close enough to love all of you. You let them love the perfect, easy parts, the character that you've created to cover up your insecurity and doubt. Then you tuck the rest away, your truth, your vulnerability, your heart, your past. But until you let someone see all of you, you'll only ever be loved in halves. To the author of my story, I'm just curious how you're doing. Because lately in my narrative, it's been a little rough, and I just thought maybe you're going through some stuff, and I get it. I'm a writer too. We write to release, but recently I feel like I'm intercepting your grief, so I was thinking, instead of taking it out on me, we could just sit down and talk it out over tea. You can tell me about your broken heart, and I will hold you if you cry. And you can share your misery without making your misery mine. And together we can learn what few people learn to do. We can stop passing our pain and start talking it through. So write me back if you get this. I think we could both use a friend. Sincerely, the person living at the end of your pen. Do you ever think about the way that each breath that you take traveled thousands of years to get to your lungs? Every molecule of your body tiptoed into place after centuries of existing. You may be composed of stardust and you wouldn't even know. Do you even consider the fact that your being was destined to be tied together at this moment, woven from the water that runs through streams and the pollen dust on the wings of butterflies when you doubt yourself, when you think you don't belong, when you question your purpose? Do you ever consider how miraculous it is that you are even here? The proof of your belonging, your purpose, your being is all quite simply answered in your very presence. It is woven into you. It is in every breath of air that took thousands of years to belong to you. You are not a question to be answered. You simply are, and that is enough. To love yourself, you must first find a new definition of love that is not the one you've learned from hurt people and failed relationships. You must learn that love is not conditional, and nothing you see in the mirror can alter the portion of love you deserve. You must learn that love is not the wage you earn for what you do or how much you do it. Love is forgiving, consistent, and kind. I know this is not the love you have learned, but it can be the love that you are learning. If there's one thing I can promise you, it's that it's going to get worse before it gets better. You wonder why so many people walk around with unhealed trauma. It's because healing is actually really, really ugly. And you're going to have to feel so many other emotions before you feel good and happy. You're going to have to cry and remember and feel it all again. But then, one day, you're going to wake up and feel so proud of the person that you've become. And this ugly is all going to be worth it.
No one ever looks at the stars and wishes they were gone. No one ever asks the ocean why it stayed so long. No one wishes the moon away. They don't ask for it to disappear. No one is unkind to the sun. We know it's needed here. No one ever questions the existence of these things. We accept that they are exactly what they are meant to be. So don't you dare look in the mirror and wish that you were gone. Do not ask yourself why you stayed so long. Don't wish yourself away. Don't ask to disappear. Don't be unkind to yourself. Please know you're needed here. Do not question your existence because you are everything. Please accept that you are exactly what you are meant to be. I used to be so jealous of the kind of people who knew exactly what they wanted in life. The kids who grew up with a stethoscope around their neck who are now working in a hospital. The ones who proudly proclaimed their dreams without a second thought. It was never like that for me. When I was 5, I wanted to be in the circus. When I was 10, I was a detective. When I was 11, I was already dreaming of taking a spaceship to the moon. At 13, I was a singer. At 15, I was an architect. At 17, I was a lawyer. I'm 22 now. And I still couldn't tell you exactly what it is that I want to be, but I don't think it's a curse anymore to have a million different dreams. And perhaps those dreams were my stethoscope for all these years. Maybe some of us weren't born just to be one thing. We were born to be dreamers. There's a difference between allowing yourself to feel and allowing your feelings to dictate your every move. It's important to create space for your emotions, but it's equally important to acknowledge that your feelings aren't always a reliable compass. Acknowledge them, sit with them, then move forward.
I have a theory that people are made of stars. Because we often underestimate all that we are. We perceive ourselves small, like dust in the sky, when in reality we are not tiny lights. We are powerful masses of fire and flame, and the void flinches at the sound of our name. I have a theory that people are made of stars, so stop being timid. The sky is ours. If there's one thing I've learned about love, it's that it isn't anything like the storybooks. I am not the victim, and I am not the villain, but I might be both. I've had my heart cut open, but I will not pretend that I don't have blood on my hands. You think a person can't be equally right and wrong? Well, trust me, they can. I have held on too tightly. I've let go too soon. I said I love you sincerely, and I've lied about it too. I'm innocent and guilty and broken and to blame. And you see, love isn't a story, but it might be a game where two people win and two people lose, and everyone is the protagonist and antagonist too.
I am in love with you. Yes, you. The people with fragile hearts. I think you are the bravest, most beautiful of miracles if you cry when you read books, or if another's pain brings you heartache, if your heart cracks for the sake of bent butterfly wings. Please, stay that way. Do not let the weight of the world make you hard.
Dear empath, next time you're hurt, please allow yourself to feel your feelings first. Remember that you are worthy of the same space you give everyone else to feel. Remember that your broken heart is just as broken, just as real. Dear empath, next time someone puts a knife in your back, you don't have to forgive immediately. You don't have to understand, regardless of their history, regardless of their past. Cruelty is still cruelty, even if it's not inflicted intentionally. Dear empath, I know it's your tendency to empty yourself just so someone else can feel full, but you cannot keep giving from hands that are empty. You cannot keep loving from a heart that's not whole. There is time for you here. There is time for you to be unsure about the future. There is time for you to decide on your dreams. There is time for you to change your mind when you realize that those dreams weren't everything you wanted. There is time to find closure for wounds that took a little longer to heal. There is time to find love and realize that it wasn't right even though it was real. There is time for you to change. There is time for you to grow and to wait. You're right on time. You're not running late.
There is a difference, between fitting in and belonging, between conforming because you think you have to and existing in a space that doesn't beg for you to change. And I hope more than anything that you do not settle for a Play-Doh origami gum wrapper mold me into what you want me to be kind of existence. Instead, I hope that you release the hands that try to fold you and wait patiently for a love that only wants to hold you regardless of the shape that you take. And if you should ever change, let it only be out of discovery, not out of the desire to be accepted. And if you should ever make yourself small, do not let it be for anything, unless it is for growing wings. I think we spend too much time being afraid of our own mediocrity. We don't want to sing too loudly in case anyone finds out we don't have a voice like glass. We don't write music because we aren't Mozart. We don't paint because we aren't Picasso. We don't tell people that we love them because our voice might shake when we say it. We try to be pretty criers, and we don't dance because we aren't that good. The reality of our humanity is that we are all a little bit average at a lot of things. The truth is that we're all not that good, so stop holding yourself back from enjoying the things you love because you're not a prodigy at everything. Scream the song at the top of your lungs and confess your love and let your voice be shaky. Cry big, ugly tears, dance really badly, because life is too short to be scared of being human. You say you don't believe in love anymore. Then I watch the way you gaze at a starry night with tear-filled eyes. I watch you pick a wildflower from the ground and place it in the hand of a friend. I watch you smile at strangers on the street. I watch you listen intently whenever someone speaks. I watch you hand out pieces of your heart again and again and again, even though you don't always get them back. And I know you don't realize it, but that is love. How can you deny its existence when it lives within you, when it is you? I knew it was getting better when I started putting my seatbelt on again. I know I shouldn't have ever stopped, but sometimes we use the value someone else gives us to determine the worth of our life. I'm learning to take care of myself in all the ways I wish someone else would have. Anything I longed for you to say or do, I'm beginning to realize I can do those things for myself. I can write myself notes, I can take myself on coffee dates, I can give myself the affirmation I need. If you're like me, and you're unsure of how to find that love in yourself again, set a reminder on your phone right now. Type the thing you wish most for someone to tell you: I love you, you are enough for me, remember to eat, remember to wear your seatbelt. Right now, reach over and take your own hand. Realize that you are real, you are solid, you are steady. You are holding on to the one person who will never leave you, who will never walk away. Fall in love with this feeling of being your own anchor. I used to think that home was a place, a permanent location where my heart would always feel safe, but I'm beginning to realize that home is a feeling I've found in a million different ways. I've met home in the sunrise, and I have smelled home in the rain. I've found people that feel right in ways I can't explain. So maybe home isn't forever, and not every home is where you're meant to stay, but maybe it's okay if home is just home for today. Don't let yourself go back there. There are pieces of your life that are meant to stay in the past, and some of those pieces have names and a heartbeat, and the audacity to text you back just as you're starting to heal. But darling, if they loved you, it wouldn't take your absence for them to realize it. It wouldn't take your silence for them to start listening. It wouldn't take this long for them to reach out. So before you settle, before you text them back, listen to this again. I hope that the next person that calls you beautiful does so in a way that encompasses all of you. I hope when they call you beautiful, they mean your voice in the morning and the light in your eyes when you talk about what you're passionate about. I hope when they call you beautiful, they mean the way you forget your keys every day so you always say goodbye twice before you leave. I hope they mean the way you sleep and the way you cry and the way you take your coffee, because next time someone calls you beautiful, nothing about the way you exist should be disregarded. You are not beautiful in the way a rose petal is. You are beautiful in the way a garden is. They say that the look you carry on your face the most often stays there permanently. When you age, your face becomes a map of your past. I suppose that's why my grandmother has little lines in the corners of her eyes from smiling. It makes me wonder what stories the lines on my face will tell when I am her age. It makes me hope that I have little sun rays pouring from the sides of my eyes and big crescent lines from smiling too wide. I hope that my brow doesn't look burdened by worry or regret or fear, but creased with joy and surprise and care. If my face is a map, let it be carved with roads of love that I give. If my face tells a story, let it say that I lived. This poem is for anyone in their 20s. No direction, no home, no certainty, and by the way, these are supposed to be the best years of your life. No money, no answers, no time, and make sure you don't take your youth for granted. Prioritize your education and your finances and your future career and your social life, but make sure you're having fun. And how's your love life? Have you met someone yet? Didn't so-and-so already get married? That reminds me. Did you know that girl from your high school already graduated law school? Where did you say you were going to school again? And have you laid out your 10-year plan? It's okay not to have everything figured out yet, but have you started thinking about retirement yet? So be picky.
Be intentional about the people you choose to call yours. Don't waste time on a love that is not mutual. Don't trip over your feet chasing people that aren't for you. Be picky. Be aware of the value of your energy. Spend it doing the things that take your breath away. Only walk down roads that your soul is screaming at you to take. Be picky. Recognize the truth that all of this is temporary. Rely on the rarity of every inhale and exhale you take. Allow the anomaly of your every breath to propel you to the realization that not a single moment should be wasted. Be picky. And for the first time, I realized that life can be a process of exploring rather than a process of finding. It can be a wandering without a true destination. It can be trying a new kind of coffee just because. It can be moving to the mountains because you can, or swimming in the ocean for no particular reason at all. Perhaps my purpose was always just to be here, not to discover the reason why. If I die today, I think this would be my parting advice. Live in this moment and love with no restraints. Realize that taking life slowly and absorbing the small things is not wasting time. Drink the coffee one sip at a time and spend the extra 15 minutes on the phone with your best friend. Do not worry so much about the weather. Don't take it all so seriously, but if you take something seriously, let it be this. This is not a rehearsal. This is not a practice run. This is not a test. This is your life. Do not disregard how rare it is.
Some things you should know about loving me. I will take some time to trust you. My heart is a little bit black and blue from hands that were a little too clumsy to hold it. I keep myself a bit hidden, I keep my walls a bit high. But when they fall, you won't have to remind me your birthday. I hold in my heart the freckle counting, text me when you're home, call me when you need me kind of love. I won't let you have a single doubt in your mind that the love song stuck in my head says anything but your name. Because the thing about having a heart with walls around it is once you're let inside, it makes a pretty safe place to stay.
How dare you look at the rain and call it beautiful? How dare you listen to the thunder and call it magnificent? How dare you admire the beauty around you while disregarding the magnificence that runs through your veins? Believe me when I say that thunderstorms are afraid of your power. Underneath all these pieces you dare to deem unworthy or unlovable, you are untouchable, royalty of a universe that is all your own. You have the power to craft masterpieces with only your imagination, so before you look in the mirror and believe you are anything less than artistry, I hope in the back of your head you hear me. When your eyes meet your insecurities, please let these words echo through. How dare you? A letter to my inner child. I hope you never lose yourself in what the unhappy people call maturity. I hope that you never forfeit your laughter to take life more seriously. I hope that you never trade imagination for what society calls normal. I hope that when you cry, it's only a result of how deeply you've learned to love. I hope that your tears never stop you from loving so sincerely that you feel it from your head to your toes. I hope that you never learn to calculate your worth with the opinion of others. I hope that you never forget that you can do things just for fun. I hope that you express without shame and run without a destination. And I hope that I never become the person who dims your light. If you are concerned with what you are to become, start becoming more concerned with what you are. The trees were once seeds, the clouds were once the sea, and everything you are now creates everything you will be. I traveled back in time today. I saw myself broken on a bathroom floor, and I broke again. But this time it was different. This time it was not my pain that broke me, it was the overwhelming love I felt for a girl who thought she was worthless. I can't wait until the day she realizes that she means everything to me. After everything, what I've learned is that I will never again beg anyone to love me. I will not beg anyone to stay. I will not exist for the purpose of obtaining anyone's attention. I will stop treating every conversation like a fight to gain approval for who I am. It's okay if not everyone likes me. I'm learning that just because one person is not impressed, that doesn't deem me unimpressive. Just because one person doesn't see my worth, that doesn't deem me unworthy. Just because one person doesn't fall in love doesn't deem me unlovable. I've realized that setting an expectation for other people often leads to disappointment, so I'm setting the expectation exclusively for me. I do not ask twice for love. I do not allow the people who walked away from me to take with them my worth. I exist in the most authentic way I know how, and I wait patiently for the people who want the real me.
Being understood is my love language. I suppose that's why I look for pieces of myself in someone else. It's also the reason I get so excited when I meet someone whose favorite ice cream flavor is cookie dough, or who is just as in love with the sky as I am. The way to love me is to remind me that I'm not alone. Perhaps that is a little true for all of us. Merry Christmas to anyone whose Christmas feels a little different this year. I think sometimes we use the holidays as a checkpoint. Each time they come around, we see all the things that have changed in the last year. We're flooded with the feeling of familiarity that comes with Christmas lights and pine-scented candles. We are also met with the incredible awareness that everything has changed since the last time we decorated a Christmas tree. Maybe you've seen some heartbreak this year. Maybe you've experienced some loss, maybe you've done some healing, and maybe you're still working on it. But no matter what, you've grown. And I'm so proud of you for all you've made it through this year. Whether this Christmas feels heavy or light, even if your heart is caught between familiarity and change, Merry Christmas, even if Christmas isn't quite the same.
I've picked up a habit of burying myself every so often. I've heard that I'm addicted to fresh starts, but I think that's just a nice way of saying I'm addicted to control. You see, life will change whether you want it to or not. Packing up and leaving is my way of pretending I have some kind of authority over the change. Leaving has become my way of choosing my goodbyes. Maybe I'm sabotaging myself for some illusion of control, but I'm sick of life getting to choose when I have to let go. I had never seen someone treat the fire with such contempt, as if the very substance of the sun was beneath her. I watched her step through flames without a flinch, and in an instant I knew. Only a person who had always lived in the destruction of the flames could ever look pain directly in the face as if it was only an inconvenience to her. I am certain that before she would ever fear the fire, it would fear her first. If we're being honest, the reason I'm bad at loving you is because I was once very good at loving the wrong people. I was sure, I was patient, I was unreserved. I didn't know that as much as love can heal, it can also hurt. I wish that I could introduce you to the me I was before. I wish she could teach me how to love you more. Prove to me that love is a... I think I've always loved the fall because it reminds me that even as nature crumbles, as the leaves fall and the grass loses its pigment, there remains something enlivening about watching the world around you succumb to a peaceful death. It is comforting to be reminded that decay is in the nature of being, and in my crumbling, in my death and decay, it is humbling to be reminded that I am no greater than the grass or the trees. I rise, and I fall, and that is the way of things. When I was little, I liked to do mazes, the kind on paper where you trace them with your pencil, and if you run into a dead end, you look at the big picture and find your way to the end. What I've learned as I got older is that life isn't anything like those mazes. In life, you only get to see what's right in front of you, not the whole picture. So, when you run into a dead end and it looks like there's nowhere to go, know that you will find your way. You will find your finish line. You just can't see it all right now. I hope that the next person that calls you beautiful does so in a way that encompasses all of you. I hope when they call you beautiful, they mean your voice in the morning and the light in your eyes when you talk about what you're passionate about. I hope when they call you beautiful, they mean the way you forget your keys every day so you always say goodbye twice before you leave. I hope they mean the way you sleep and the way you cry and the way you take your coffee, because next time someone calls you beautiful, nothing about the way you exist should be disregarded. You are not beautiful in the way a single rose petal is. You are beautiful in the way a garden is. Little Miss Hopeless Romantic. Little Miss People Pleaser. Little Miss answers your texts right away and hands out trust without a second glance. Little Miss falling in love with the type of people who need healing more than romance. Little Miss always sees the good. Little Miss making excuses for your unkindness. Little Miss loved you too much. Little Miss couldn't walk away when I knew I should. Little Miss second and third chances, fourth and fifth and sixth. Little Miss had enough. Little Miss beginning to unravel the lies you told me. Little Miss realizing empty hearts deserve empty hands. Little Miss taking back who I was before all of this. Little Miss realizing that I am worth more. Little Miss, I am my Little Miss before I was ever yours. Even when you are still, the world turns. Even when you feel stuck, the trees sprout new leaves. Even when this chapter feels eternal, the ache is proof that it is passing through. I want you to know that love should make you feel safe. And no, there are no exceptions to this rule. Love does not feel like a teacup teetering on the edge of a countertop. Love does not hang on doubtful promises or frayed threads. It should not make you question yourself. It should not cause you to tiptoe in fear that the slightest misstep will cause it to shatter. And if this fragile kind of non-love is what you've been receiving, please know that you are deserving of a love that is unwavering, consistent, and steady. A love that you don't have to question. You are worthy of a love that feels safe. And I hope that I make you proud. I hope that even if I didn't become the person you expected me to be, you don't forget that at my core, I'm protecting a piece of you. I hope that you learn to forgive me for the times I didn't love you as I should have. Sometimes kindness is the most difficult to give to yourself. I hope that when you listen to that Holly Humberstone song, the one you played on repeat when it seemed impossible to escape from your head, you know that somewhere down the road, you will listen to it again and cry over just how far you've come. On average, there are about 2 shooting stars in the sky per hour. This might come as a surprise because a lot of us think of seeing a shooting star as something rare. Most of us only see a few in our lifetime. I think that falling in love is a lot like that. It's important to remember how rare it can be, but it is also important not to forget that no matter how rare the love that you lost, there is always more for you out there. You just have to keep looking up. Write me something beautiful, they said. So I wrote about losing you. That's not beautiful, they remarked with tear-streaked cheeks. I replied, what is beautiful is that I survived to write about it. What is beautiful is that I broke and I'm still here. What is beautiful is that you cry with me because we both know loss. What is beautiful is that despite the emptiness I feel, tears still fall from my eyes because I am still human. What is beautiful is that losing someone is not the end of the story. I will not ask for love, because the question is not whether or not I should be loved. It's who I should be loved by. And if you are the kind of person that I have to ask to love me, then you are not the kind of person that is meant to. I was accepted. They called me pretty. They called me perfect. They called me theirs. And I hated myself. I have never felt more empty than when the majority called me loved. It took me a long time to realize it, but what other people want has nothing to do with me. What other people like has nothing to do with me. Maybe I've always been a sunrise and you're just a sunset kind of person. It's popular to have this mentality that's like, I was too good for them. or they didn't deserve me, or if I'm too much, go find less. But the truth is, I just wasn't what you were trying to find. And that's fine. I don't need to chastise you for having preferences. I don't need to forgive you for not choosing me. I hope that you find your sunset. I like to think of life like I'm walking along a beach, collecting moments shaped like seashells, and each one is unique. And every shell has a story to tell, and every once in a while, I find one that's extra special. It is shaped differently, or it's bright blue. I think that one of those seashells was the moment I met you. Some things that you should know about loving me. I will take some time to trust you. My heart is a little black and blue from hands that were a little too clumsy to hold it. I keep myself a little bit hidden. My walls are a little bit high. But when they fall, you won't have to remind me your birthday. I hold in my heart the freckle counting, text me when you're home, call me when you need me kind of love. I won't let you have a single doubt in your mind that the love song stuck in my head says anything but your name. Because the thing about having a heart with walls around it is that once you're let inside, it makes a pretty safe place to stay.
Merry Christmas to anyone whose Christmas feels a little different this year. I think that sometimes we use the holidays as a checkpoint. Each time they come around, we see all the things that have changed in the last year. We're flooded with the feeling of familiarity that comes with Christmas lights and pine-scented candles, but we are also met with the incredible awareness that everything has changed since the last time we decorated a Christmas tree. Maybe you've seen some heartbreak this year. Maybe you've experienced some loss, maybe you've done some healing, and maybe you're still working on it. But no matter what, you've grown, and I'm so proud of you for all you've made it through this year. Whether this Christmas feels heavy or light, even if your heart is caught between familiarity and change, Merry Christmas, even if Christmas doesn't feel quite the same.
People who are overly enthusiastic about patterned socks. The way that puppies walk when they haven't really figured out how their legs work yet. Music that fills your veins and leaves you with no choice but to dance. The fact that someone put the words whippersnapper, cattywampus, and hullabaloo in the dictionary. The way that coffee smells in the morning, the way that leaves crunch when you step on them, the way that love finds its way to the lonely and kindness finds its way to the broken, the way that you have the capacity to be both love and kindness for someone else. If your heart has been running on empty, if you haven't found one in a while, I hope that this poem gives you a reason to smile.
Apologies you probably need to hear but never will. I'm sorry that I wasn't there when you needed me. I'm sorry for the pain I passed on to you because I didn't know how to carry it kindly. I'm sorry for leaving you when I should have stayed. I'm sorry for trying to change you when I should have loved you just this way. I'm sorry that I convinced you that you didn't matter at all. I'm sorry that I made you feel so awfully small. I'm sorry that I didn't say what you deserved to hear, that I'm proud of you, that I love you. Please don't disappear. It was never your fault. I'm sorry that I let you believe that everything I did was a reflection of you instead of me. When I tell you it's going to turn out okay, I don't mean that one day everything that is wrong will be put right. I don't mean that every expectation you have will be met. I don't mean that there will be no more bad days. I mean that the sun has set on every bad day you've had before. I mean that the world will continue to turn, you will breathe and begin to learn that sometimes being okay just means that this isn't where your story ends. Tomorrow, we begin again. My world did end when I was 16, and again when I was 18, and briefly this morning when I couldn't move from my bed. So I don't have much hope that it won't end again, because that's the way it is, you know? Life is riddled with endings and change and insufferable pain, but the other truth about endings is that they don't come without a counterpart. Every time my world has ended, it has also begun. So if I were to talk to 16-year-old me, I'd look her in the eyes and say, I believe that your world is collapsing, that you will never be the same, and it will collapse many more times, but the sun will rise the next day, and you will do this again and again and again, and maybe someday we won't speak so much of the end, and we'll say, my world began when I was 16, and again when I was 18, and briefly this morning when I rose from my bed. You know the way that sunsets never look quite as good in pictures? And retelling the joke never does justice to the way your stomach ached with laughter the first time it was told. You know the way the moon always looks smaller through a lens? And words can never really describe the way the view from the top of the mountain stole your breath? I want you to remember that you only see yourself in snapshots, and that if the sunset cannot be contained in a photo, neither can you. I want you to remember that the words someone speaks of you can never do justice to the radiance of your smile or the sound of laughter rolling from your chest. I want you to remember that your vastness renders cameras useless, and the sight of you would make even the mountains lose their breath. Because photos and stories and the small glimpses you catch of yourself in the mirror do nothing to surmount the task of capturing the universe surging within you. You are not an instant. You are an eternity. The gap between now and forever, a color-changing sky. I'd capture you in a poem, but it isn't worth the try.